Hi class, we'll be looking at how to use translation of shapes. So a translation is simply moving a shape. Let's look at this. So I'm going to go to Tools, make sure it's expanded, and you can click on Polygon, and we'll make a simple triangle. Right, so I've got this triangle here. Maybe as part of my pattern, I want to repeat this triangle over and over and over again. How can I do this? So we've got a tool called under the transform section, we've got some tools, and the tool that we're going to use is called translate by vector. So translate just means move. So what we need is a vector that describes the movement we want to do. So if we go to lines, we can find the vector. Let's say we want to move this triangle 2 steps to the right and 1 step up. So I'm going to go, and you can do this using this dot here. You can just say I want to go from B to here, or I can create any other vector I want, where I start anywhere, it doesn't matter where you start, and I go 2 across and 1 up, and this creates my vector u. It says this is telling you something's going to go across 2 and 1 up. So when I go to the transformed section and I go to translate by vector, the tooltip says select the object to translate, and then we have to make or select the vector. So I want to select the triangle, so I select the center of the triangle, and see that I selected the whole triangle. And then I select the vector that I want to move it by, this one here, which represents 2 across and 1 up. And if I do that, it recreates the triangle having moved it 2 across and 1 up. So this is a transformation, right? If I show it just by lining this in, you can see that this corner went over here, this corner went there, this corner went there. So the shape is exactly the same. It literally just got moved across. Notice how me moving the vector doesn't do anything, because the vector just describes the movement. But if I were, for example, to change this, because my vector is changing, so is the new triangle. It's got to change with it. That also means I can't delete this vector. If I delete this vector, it's going to remove the triangle. So the only way we can do this, if you really don't want this arrow, is go to algebra, find the arrow, which is over here, and click on the circle just to hide it away. And similarly, maybe I want to hide points D and E, so those can just be hidden away now that I've used it to do my transformation. So that is what a vector and transformation does. The third step is really important. We need to be able to describe our transformation. It is really vital that you describe your transformation correctly. If you can't do that, you will get an unachieved. It's really, really important. So how do we describe our transformation? Well, as a very most basic step, we need to make sure we include in our description, in our sentence, everything we needed to make this transformation. What do we need? We needed a shape that we want to translate, and we needed the vector that translated it for us. So we just need to be able to describe those two things. So I'm just going to do it here by creating a text here, and I say I moved my triangle, this is me referencing the shape that was being moved, up 1 and to the right 2. And this is describing my vector, my movement. So I move my triangle 1 up and to the right 2 to create the second triangle. This is an example. Now for Chief, this would be fine. For Merit or higher, you want to make sure you explain not just the triangle, but what the triangle represented. So maybe the triangle, if you're doing a garden, might have represented a certain patch of flowers, or maybe it represented a certain part of a ship, whatever the case might be, right? But you want to try, for Merit, you want to give it some context, and for Excellence, well, maybe a bit of reasoning. The reasoning might be, why did you use the transformation? Why not just create a random triangle? Well, I did the transformation, I did the translation, so that the second triangle is exactly the same shape and size as the first. That was why we used the translate tool, right? Because otherwise I could have just drawn a triangle, but when shapes get a bit more complex, we use these tools to ensure that the shapes stay exactly the same as we wanted to. Alternatively, maybe we wanted to describe the translation maybe slightly more professional. So instead of saying up 1 and to the right 2, maybe I describe it by the vector. So I moved my triangle rather than saying up to moved. Maybe we should have used the actual word translated my triangle. And then instead of saying 1 up and to the right 2, we say by the vector 2 across and 1 up. So just kind of like a point. Vectors also can be described as xy, but in this case, as long as we define that this is the vector, we know that we're talking about movement. So we're going 2 across, x value first, and 1 up. You don't have to do this, but this might be a more mathematically correct way to describe this. So this is translation. Try it out, test it around, but it's important that you practice how to describe the translation that you did. If you don't, there's going to be a problem.